our Voices of IP, Mr. Ari Hoffman, Chief Operating Officer of GOBIE h2o. Mr. Hoffman.
Hi, as the voice from above said, my name is Ari Hoffman, and I am an owner of GOBIE h2o, which is a filtered reusable water bottle, what you see here in front of you. We basically provide the ability to have clean, trusted water anywhere you go. Simply put, we have portable filtration, and that's it. So with the caliber of people that have spoken here today before me, and the caliber of people that are about to speak after me, I know that there are people much more qualified to stand up here and speak to all of you. There are patents that are out there that are much more innovative and cutting edge than ours. So why am I here today? I think I was asked to be here today to give an insight to the startup industry and to a real startup, a really grassroots built startup that has blossomed in this economy into a small business and is now growing beyond what anyone ever thought was possible. And we did that all through utilizing our patents as both the foundation of our company and the keystone to our growth. We at GOBIE, we looked at our patents as a process for something that was not only fundamental for our protection, but really as a way to kind of uncover the innovation that lies within our future. You know, it was a way for us to stake a claim in a market and a land that was already populated by giants. This wasn't an easy industry to break into. If you look at GOBIE itself, you know, we were a couple of nobodies. Rusty was an industrial designer, and although he was an amazing one, he had only designed for other people. And I worked in architecture, designing green buildings. Neither of us had a business degree. Neither of us knew how to write a business plan. We didn't know the difference between a utility and a design patent. We were so green, it was ridiculous. But we knew that if we protected ourselves from the onset, if we built that understanding around our IP, if we built the protection that was strong enough to protect us from the big bullies, but light enough to allow us to maneuver around the slow-moving giants out there, that we would be able to grab some of that market share. And when GOBIE kind of came into existence, it came to fruition through a multitude of things, but the first was Hurricane Katrina. So when the storm hit, Rusty, who is a Louisiana native, he saw the devastation. But it really wasn't just the storm. It was more of a 1-2 punch. First, they were hit with the heavy blow of the storm, and then they were finished off with the disaster relief. If you think about the infrastructure, it was demolished by the storm. So when you float in and you fly in and you truck in millions and millions of gallons of bottled water, where was it going to go? So on top of the storm, they were now riddled with this litter that was left over from the disaster relief, clogging their streets and their waterways, polluting their water even further. And if you look at bottled water, you know, that we see everywhere, it's heavy, it's cumbersome, it's not easy to transport, it's expensive, and you only get one use out of it. So when 2008 hit and the economy went bust, and people really started looking at their wallets, we saw the opportunity, and we were able to show people that they were spending more money on a gallon of bottled water than they were on a gallon of gasoline. And guess what? That's still true today. We're spending more money on water than we are on gasoline. On top of all of that, you know, both Rusty and I surf. I grew up in the water. I was a fish, so I already had an affinity towards trying to protect our waterways. There hasn't been a day that I haven't been out there and seen plastic float right by me. I have 2 daughters, and that's definitely not what I want to leave behind for them. So we knew that we could do it better. When we looked at the $62 billion global bottled water industry, we knew that we couldn't go directly after them. They were too large, they were just too permanent, it's too built into our infrastructure. We also didn't want to be the people waving our fingers at everyone, telling them, hey, you shouldn't drink bottled water, it's bad for you, it's bad for the planet. Guilt never works in the long run. We knew we had to provide an alternative that was cheaper, that was safer, and that was more convenient than bottled water to be able to do what we wanted to do. And that's where our designs and our patents came into play, because we knew we couldn't match advertising dollar for dollar. We couldn't match manufacturing dollar for dollar. We definitely couldn't match distribution dollar for dollar. We needed to produce something that was better, smarter, and more efficient than anything else that was out there. When we looked at designing this, and when Rusty really put pen to paper and started designing this whole thing out, there was no filtered water bottle category. It didn't exist. In the camping category, there was a couple water bottle pumps that were out there, but nothing like this, nothing for daily use, where it's something that you keep on your nightstand so you don't have to walk all the way to the kitchen to get a fresh glass of water, something you take to work with you, something you take to the gym. There was nothing like that. And so when we started looking at the industry and understanding where it was going, we knew that all reusable water bottles would eventually have a filter. Because as water becomes more scarce, as it becomes more polluted, why wouldn't you want to filter wherever you go? It just made sense. But it didn't exist yet. So we started looking at what was patentable and what wasn't. We already have had filters for hundreds of years. The Romans used filters. So we knew we didn't want to try and change the way you cleaned your water. That was already done. Everybody with a new filter just gives you a different way to get the end result, which is clean water. So we started boiling the idea down, and what we understood was we weren't going to patent the way you filter your water. We were going to patent the way you enjoyed experiencing that filtered water. And that's what makes us different than every other water bottle that's out there. We focused on the experience rather than the end result. So we made a bottle that was safer, it was more, it was cheaper, and it was more convenient than anything else on the market. Every little detail was built around convenience. And if you think about convenience, what does that mean to us? That means instant gratification. We want to be able to get it now, right? That's why we buy bottled water. It's at the store and we don't mind paying $1 for it. We go to the restaurant, we pay $2 for it. We go to the ball game or to the gym or to the airport or to your hotel and you pay $5 for it, which is 4,000 times the price of bottled water, of tap water. And so knowing this, we looked at the fact that if we're going to break down the experience and you wanted something that was immediate, how are you going to force the water through the filter? There's two ways. You can either push it through or you could pull it through. Pushing it through means you'd have a squeezable water bottle, something that was, like a bicycle bottle, really cheap, something that's not very durable. It's made out of lower end materials. That, or you have a hard shell bottle, which is more durable. It's got a lifetime value to it. But if you do that, then you have to add a straw, because how else are you going to get the water through the filter? You can't turn it over and let gravity work. That's not instant. If you use a straw, well, now you have to suck on something. You have to drink it in the vertical position. You can't share it. You have to get a special straw cleaner. There are all these different things that a straw inhibits. It's really a step backwards. But most importantly, you limit how strong that filter can be. Because if you put a filter on there that's too strong, we call it the frozen chocolate milkshake effect. I think you all know this, where you're sucking, and barely anything comes out. So it really was a step backwards for us. And that's what led to this design. We took the accessibility of a squeezable bottle and we combined it with the durability of a hard shell bottle. So now you have instant filtration wherever you go. And it seems like something so simple, right? A squeezable portion to a bottle. But really it makes all the difference in the world when it comes to convenience. Because now when you filter it instantly, there's no more waiting for it. There's no more sucking for it. When you're exercising, you're not going to choke on it because you're trying to get water out. And remember, we're attacking that. We're not attacking other bottled waters. We're attacking that. It has to be convenient. And so through this experience, now you can share it. You can pour it on a little stain if you have it. Everything about it was built through convenience. And that's why GOBIE was born. But if we looked at our patents as something that was designed only to protect ourselves, that would have been a really myopic approach to the entire thing. We needed to be much more dynamic if we were going to grab that market share we were looking for. And so what we did is we looked at how to use our patents for the future of GOBIE, how to grow outside of our own brand. And, we looked at this not just as our patents as a shield, but really more like an armored vehicle to kind of navigate us through the rough terrain ahead. And knowing that we understood the whole industry would move towards adding a filter, because why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you have filtered water? We looked at the long-term run. And that's what we did. That's when we that's when we trademarked our patents. And we coined it the FlexFlow technology, thinking about the future of the brand and outside of ourselves. So with that, we knew everyone was going to want to use our technology eventually. Once we had enough brand saturation, we could then license the technology off, and now everybody's water bottles could be filtered and powered by the FlexFlow technology. It was really trying to think about the bigger picture of what we're trying to do here, which once again is not competing against our own competitors, but competing against a different market and really taking something away from that. This foresight that we had, it was costly and it did take some time, but it positioned us in a way that we've been able to leverage it. So we were on, the nationally hit acclaimed show Shark Tank. We secured a deal with Damon John. Although I didn't go to Cornell University, I was the voice that he called into. We won the FedEx Small Business Grant Contest. More recently, we just competed in and won the Dream Big America competition. And all of this kind of led us down this road to being able to secure a deal with Liquidity, which is a filter company that has now produced the world's greatest filter ever made. They just won the Bill and Melinda Gates grant competition. Their filter technology not only allows you to filter out things like cysts like Cryptosporidium or Giardia, but this filter can take out bacteria, pesticides, viruses, things like SARS, botulism, polio, dysentery. And when the filter is done, when it's reached the end of its life, it shuts off automatically. So there's no questioning whether it's good or it's bad. There is no doubt. And if we didn't have our patents, we wouldn't have been able to work with them. The filter's too dense to suck through a straw, so our FlexFlow technology works perfectly with them. Right now, we're in the process of raising our next round of funding to promote this future growth and this campaign that we're doing with Liquidity. So with Liquidity, not only are we going to be able to filter at home and on the go and camping and backpacking and traveling to third world countries, you could take water not only from a stream, you could filter stagnant water off the streets of Sierra Leone. This filter is going to change a lot of things, and it's going to save a lot of lives in the process. But don't just think about it from what this filter itself can do. Let's go back to the disaster relief component to it. This one filter filters hundreds and hundreds of bottles of water. It's light, it's environmentally friendly, and most of all, it's safe to use. So the disaster relief component is huge. None of this, not a single one of these things would have been attainable if it wasn't for our patents. The patents have allowed us to even license a majority of our company out to a larger corporation, which already has the built-in infrastructure to scale dramatically. Without our patents, they wouldn't have looked twice at us. So in 3 short, simple years, I have learned so much about business personally through the patent and licensing process that now I've been able to turn around and help other startups get their development going. I'm working with the Hoffman Foundation's 1 Million Cups program, where we've seen a myriad of products come through our door. I've worked with companies like IQ Hydrate, which has now produced a water bottle that digitally tracks the amount of water you drink as you're drinking it and reminds you when you've fallen behind. So the ADA is getting 100% behind it. And what they've done is they use the age provision to expedite their patent process. They got their patents granted in under a year. Worked with another company that's purposely filing continuation after continuation after continuation in their patent process to elongate that process. I've even worked with a brand new startup skateboard company called Skateblock. A couple kids are running this, and they're going to move an industry that hasn't seen any change in 30 years. And they barely have enough money to file a provisional patent while they get their wheels turning. The point is, I look at patents as the protector of innovation. Without the startup community understanding the importance of patents, the small business community suffers. And we know how important small business is to the future of our economy. I can't express enough how lucky I feel to stand up here in front of all of you, a crowd that I have absolutely no right speaking to, and get to say how proud I am that we have a system and a set of practices in place that protect our creators, they protect our innovators, they protect our market disruptors. I can't thank you all enough for letting me get up here and speak. And I hope I've shed a little bit of light on why it is so important to have the patents in the protection of our innovation. Thank you.